Hey everybody, this is Kay with Create with Kay, and I'm coming back to you with another scrapbooking layout with Traci Reed Designs, and I'm using her Smitten kit today, but we are going to start at the computer. Like I promised, I'm hoping to bring you guys more tutorials. Today I'm hoping it will be a bit of a basic one. I didn't do anything. I didn't even recolor things. So hopefully this is a good place to start with. Let me know in the comments below if it's not. We are going to just start with some basic rectangles. We have put a rectangle, a big rectangle, and then another smaller rectangle on top of that one, and then just a very skinny one at the bottom. And this is so that we can clip our papers to those rectangles, and that way we aren't using like huge pieces of paper and all that kind of stuff when we go to print it out. I did put two more like 2x3 rectangles. Those are for the photos. Then I did hit that stroke button. It's going to be that little FX button that is right below your layers panel. You want to go in there, hit the stroke button, and that will give you that white line around your photos. And that technically is like if you're matting your photo or not. Okay, so here I'm showing you that I'm just bringing that large red paper. That is the one that I want to go in the larger rectangle behind the smaller one. And right now I was trying to group two rectangles together. I don't recommend you doing this because in the end I had to repeat it and undo it to get it to print right. So I should have probably cropped this part out, but you know, what can you do? So, but yeah, so you want to clip this. To clip something to a rectangle, you will do Control G, and that is at least on my Windows. I believe it's Alt G maybe on a Mac, but definitely just look that up. That's pretty easy to look up. Those are all the same type of things. But yeah, so here you're seeing me just fiddle with this just a little bit. So once we get past this, then we will move on to bigger and better things. But that little tiny stripe below, there we go. See, I'm moving that paper to be a little bit bigger so that I can clip it to both. And that way I was just trying to go down on the amount of layers that I had. I don't know why. Don't worry about it. There we go. So now I have my little red layer, or little red stripe at the bottom of my page. From here, what do I do from here? I'm going to bring in my pictures, I believe. So what you want to do is go in and click on the square where you want your pictures to go into so that it goes above that layer. Drag and drop your picture. There it is, my sweet little boy at like 7. And that's what I'm about to do here is just drag and drop. There we go. Resize that to where I want it, and then I am going to layer mask it, or clip it is what we kind of call it in Photoshop. There we go. So it's right above, as you can see, and then I went in and clipped that down. Now you can just resize it, and it's just in that square, so you know what it kind of looks like. It's like your frame, pretty much. Next up, let's see, what's the next thing I go in and do? I think, I can't remember what I'm doing here. I think I'm just, I was sharpening his picture. So that picture, as you've seen, was a little blurry. It was taken probably 7-8 years ago on older phones. And so it was just a little bit blurry. So I was just sharpening that. I don't know why my screen recorder does not show the pop-ups. I really got to fix that. So that really stinks that it doesn't show when I click on like my drop downs, why it's not showing that type of thing. It only shows this. So we'll work with it for now, and soon later I'll figure out how to change that. So, all right, we're bringing in some embellishments now. This little one that says adore you, I'm just placing it in here. One thing that I love about digital scrapbooking is that I can adapt the elements to to the page and not adapt the page to the elements. And that I think is one thing that I definitely struggle with in physical products scrapbooking. If something I see that I want to use it doesn't fit within my page or my design or my thought process, it really hinders the rest of everything. And the fact that in digital scrapbooking I can just change the size, change the color, really allows me to not get those creativity blocks. Now, there are some times where I think the option that you have so much to your disposal also hinders me a little bit, but I try to take things one step at a time in digital scrapbooking and really go in and look at all of the elements and take one element and then kind of go in. Kind of the same thing as like a lot of people do with scrapbooking. They like plan pages around elements. But here I go in and look at elements that I love of the kit and then go and get inspired from that and not have to worry about, size, color, all that kind of stuff. So, all right, so you're going to see that is where I kind of got tripped up a little bit with that red stripe being on bottom when I merged everything together. So you're going to see me erase that, bring it back. Don't worry about that. That's just me being silly. All right, so another, this is like a freeze strip. And then I started moving it and it was not, didn't move. It was like, I don't know how to word that. It was changing the shape, not just moving it proportionally. There we go. I have put in a space now for my text, so that will go down there below. Another one, see how big that was, and that might have been in real life. But all things with Traci Reed, really, you can blow them up and size them down. So you don't have to usually worry about that. Next up is my mixed media that you just seen bring in. Unfortunately, I forgot to print the mixed media. You're going to see on the actual paper. And that way I have to spray it, and then I sprayed it wrong, but we'll get to that here soon. But I am going to drag that. So if you want it to go in behind the pictures, you just, as you can see on that layers panel down below, you just need to drag it down below your photo. So just think of it all as like a big sandwich, and you have layers of a sandwich in your scrapbooking layout, and things layer on top of each other, just like in real life. You have your base paper, and then, then the red paper would be there, and then, that script paper. And I wanted the mixed media to go on that, so I brought it above that paper, pretty much, so it lays on top of that paper, but under the photos. And that is pretty much the way that you kind of think of it as in real life. The next step here is I'm just going to write my text out. I did leave this in here just because you're going to see, like, if I was writing this out in real life, I didn't think that I had that much to write. But as I kept on writing, I had more and more. And so you're going to see me change this text blocks, change the font, change the size of the font, change how much room is in between each line. Again, just another easy access thing when we are doing digital. And when we're writing it, we just can't do all of that. You can make your font smaller, but if you start out big, and I am just not a good person to write a lot on my scrapbooking pages. I usually misspell things. I just get long-winded, or I don't, and then I don't fill up the space that I want to fill out. So doing this part digitally, you'll pretty much see on any scrapbook page, I'm not writing on my scrapbook pages. Even if I don't print it out digitally, I will go in and type it, print it on my Macro transparency paper, and print it out and put it on my page, just so that I know that everything fits and everything looks right. So yeah, so I did leave this in just so that you can see it, and so that you can, and in order to change all of this, you're just going to highlight it just like we would in like a word processing. You're going to go up there to that little A. Again, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, unfortunately, because my pop-up boxes aren't working. But But you're going to see here in a minute that I am going to start changing things. Also highlight everything, go up to edit and spell check. That was one thing that I did learn here recently, that I never knew that Photoshop had spell check. I always just was like, oh, oops, you know, and kept on going type thing. But I've learned that the newer Photoshops have spell check, so that's perfect. All right, so here I am. Yes, so you can't see that little box. You can see my pointer over here working in a box, but it's not out there. So I'm changing the font size. I believe I changed the font also to just something different, and then changing all that kind of stuff. So then I'm like, okay, I really wanted this to be a much skinnier, longer piece of text. I didn't want it to be wide. So I needed to move everything up. Again, just another great, spot. Great thing about digital scrapbooking is like sometimes you just need to move things around. And if this was in real life, like everything would have been pasted down and you couldn't do that. So I need to move everything up, but again, like I've mentioned before, unfortunately, I have already merged those two red layers together, so they're going to move together. So you're going to see my eraser tool right now come out right there, and I'm just going to erase it. We're going to just get rid of it. It's very easy. It's on its own layer, so I can just erase that. I'm like, why is the red going away? I was like, oh yeah, I am on just the red layer. I needed to be on the shape layer, which I just clicked over there in my layers. There we go. We're going to get rid of that. It doesn't erase everything else because everything else is on its own layer. So when you keep everything on its own separate layers, it's so much easier to go back and change your mistakes. So don't start clipping everything together or merging everything together. I shouldn't say clipping. Until you're done. So, all right, so we went back into our rectangle shape box again and made a little rectangle there. And then what you're going to see me is just duplicate that red layer, move this one down, and then clip it to that small rectangle. And bam, we have our red little stripe box again. That way we can go back in, highlight all of this text, shrink that box down a little bit more, and make it so that it is a longer, skinnier box, which is what I kind of wanted in the beginning. You do see that my photos are a little bit wonky. I will notice that here in just a minute, that when I moved everything up, I must not have had all of the layers clicked properly, and I will get that all moved up. Here we go. There. I'm like, oh, well, my pictures are not. I had moved up the picture, but did not move up the shape box, the rectangle box. So, oh, I'm doing spell check right now. That's what I'm doing. That one letter or that one word, fantastic, was spelt wrong. Again, you can't see the pop-up boxes. I'm sorry. I will figure that part out. So that's what I was doing there. And then let's see, what else am I doing right now? Still on the text box. Okay, there we go. Now I'm seeing that my photo was off. So now I'm just clicking the two photos together. Here you can see over in my layers that I clicked those two and moved that up. And that is pretty much the end. Oh, I am going to bring in a little bit of washi tape. So I brought in a washi tape layer or element and put that in behind there. Just to bring, I hadn't put that blue in there again yet, so I used that blue in that phrase sticker down below. Hadn't brought that blue back in here, and that blue was actually in the picture also in the swimming pool. So just to guide the eye for that blue all the way down my page, I wanted to bring that blue back in. So, and that is as easy as that. I'm hoping, again, that was just a basic. If we need things more broke down, please let me know in the comments below. But let's head over and jump to my table and put this layout actually together in real life. All right, so we're going to start over here on my desk where I have everything laid out, printed. If that is also something that you are interested in seeing on how I exactly lay things out and print them, most of the time I try and get the least amount of paper wasted. Let me know and I can show you that also in Photoshop. Now, I mentioned before that I had forgotten to print the mixed media on this paper, so I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll just use my my distress mica stains and do that, which was all in all a great idea, except for this is the problem sometimes also, like I didn't get them in the right spots. And then I'm not that great with mixed media, so I got pretty heavy drops. All in all, most of this is going to get covered up other than that those couple of spots on the outside. So it works out. It's no big deal, but it does end up taking me a little bit of time to get those to dry. As you can see, I am using my heat tool to, speed up that process. But I was like, okay, we're going to set that over to the side real quick, let it dry some more, and get going. We are using scored tape. I get a lot of questions on why do you use scored tape or tape runner. My personal is that, tape runner is expensive and the score tape is not that expensive and very strong. So there is that red piece of paper that I said, you have your base. And yes, I print my text right on my base. If there is something like that, there's no need to print it out on on transparency paper and then put it down. I will take everything off of the base and print out the base on a 6x8 piece of paper or 7x8, really in my sense. So like I said, it is just like a sandwich pretty much. You just start building your page just like you would build it in a scrapbooking, regular scrapbooking sense. The only thing here is that, I already have my concept already done. So like I mentioned in a lot of my videos, usually once I get to my desk, things come together pretty darn quickly for me. So there's that little red strip that I had at the bottom. Just going to put that on real quick. And then we will put on our pictures. A lot of the times now you're going to say, like, I thought you had that matted in Photoshop. I did. I just put my pictures too close together when I printed them out. And so I didn't have enough white paper in between the two of them. That was a fault of my own. So yeah, one is matted, one is not. So there I am. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't put my drips or my mixed media far enough over. Oh, well, like at first I was like, do I want to respray it? I'm like, no, I don't want to wait for that all to dry again. So I'm like, it's no big deal. It's not the end of the world anyways. It was just something a little bit. Put those down. And then we are just going to put my embellishments down. I don't know why I stopped right there. We are going to just put my embellishments down. I have in that little cup right there. I usually try and keep all of my embellishments in a little cup so we don't lose them because obviously our desks get messy. We are using Barely Arts glue to put those down. I do love this glue. It's just been one of my favorites since I've started. It dries quickly, but also gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Not much, but a little bit. And then that washi, I did just print the washi in full, but then just cut it in half because I just didn't leave much room to slip it under there, or I could have just slipped the whole thing just like we would with washi. And then I put my two embellishments down underneath there. So one way that I get a little bit of dimension on my projects is to use glossy accents, which is right there. And this is pretty much like a lacquer almost. And so these generally are like little, in real life, they would be like little flare, I guess I would call them. And they would have, that little plastic coating on the top. And so this essentially is what that does. It puts a little plastic coating on it and makes it more dimensional. All right, guys, I hope that helps, and let me know in the comments if it does, if you need a little bit more direction, but here is the final product, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to leave a little heart in the comments below if you've made it this far, and like I said, see you in the next